So, I expected the shape to be much more complicated, but as it turns out, it's a really simple shape. So, and that's what I wanted. Ticka 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 ticka, and it just barely grabs. It just barely grabs. Wait, grab it. Grab it there. It just barely grabs. But, so in that sense, I'm happy about my strange shape. I still got some tweaking to do to get the whole mechanism to work. I was hoping to come up with something exact, so when I do the same thing on this side, I'll get rid of one of these, but when I do the same thing on that side, I could just do it exactly, but I guess I can just kind of replicate it and tweak it, and I might have to tweak this one a little bit more, but I guess the benefit of this being such a light material is it has a natural springiness, but it also depended on the way, because first I tried, because here it's going this way, but at first I tried it going this way, and then it just made the whole thing go back and forth. So and all's it is, I'll have to make it permanent, but it's that piece of, I used a different piece because I did end up saving this piece, which was gonna be my original little tinker ticker, but I thought that's so beautiful, I'm gonna keep it. Speaking of Tim Burton, so my tinker ticker ended up being a little piece of the leftover scrap that I had, and I just scotch taped it on here, and it works. And that, once again, yeah, that speaks to like the whole idea of like the mythos and the logos, and like just trying things and like the different ways we try things, and like, so you do shit with numbers and you do shit with geometry, and geometry and music, both geometry and music, like geometry and music are the things that most create that connection. So I've heard, most create that connection between the sides of the brain. And that's like story and math. Story and math are like the far ends of all discipline. And all disciplines in some way incorporate story and math. Pattern, Potter, Harry Potter, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Heraclitus, Hieronymus, her, woman. But to do things with our hands that work, even if we don't necessarily know why, you keep fucking with stuff, and then it works. Same thing with numbers. You keep fucking with shit, till it works. But when you learn new things, you incorporate them. But that has to do with the power. See, mythos, marrying mythos and the logos, like this in some sense is, it's certainly partially logos, even though it's just some stupid little cardboard toy from some guy who doesn't know anything. But there's logos there, like there's structure there. There's reasons why I did certain things, right? But then this shape is a little bit more of like where logos and mythos meet, because the whole concept of creating this little Tinker Ticker, the Tinker Ticker, the whole concept of creating the Tinker Ticker was that, you know, I knew what it wanted to do, but the exact shape and placement took me a few tries to get it where I wanted it, and I still don't understand it, but it works. And through playing with it, it will create that 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, 5, 6-dimensional understanding in my mind. Because it's exposure, being continuously exposed. I remember I was with a woman for 5 years when I was younger, and she managed a Hallmark card store, and as part of her management training, she and her peers were given some book about fishing, goldfish. Can't remember. God, now I'm having a hard time. But it's some popular shit. I forget the name of the book. It's some popular, I don't know if it's a management or a leadership book or a personal development book or whatever, but it was like really popular for a while. It fits in that whole milieu. I can't remember. Oh boy. Anyway. Oh my word. So yeah, maybe it had to do with, because it was goldfish, so cheese. But anyway, one of the whole concepts was like the adult learner needs to be exposed to something 7 times before they learn it. And it's saying how like the adult learner learns slower than the child learner, than the little learner who just absorbed things like crazy. Now, in my experience, that was bullshit. How many times do you hear the word the before you say and know how to use the word the? Even if you don't know, I still don't know what the fuck the word the is. I don't know what part of grammar it is, you know? But I use it, and I use it, and I use it, and I use it, and I know what it means, and know how to use it, and all this, you know? But I don't know what the fuck the is. And how many times do you have to use it or hear it before you say it? 7,000, 70,000, 700,000, 7 million times before you fucking say it, right? And know how to use it the right way. So I think part of that's like horseshit. Like, I've been trying to learn Korean. 안녕하세요! I've been trying to learn Korean. Hangul. Even though, well, I don't know what Koreans call the Korean language. And we call the Korean language Hangul, but like Koreans call Korea, well, South Koreans call Korea Hangul. There's a little k at the end. I don't know if they even pronounce that. But, then Americans, Migu Salon? Not sure if I said that right. What is it? Chanun, 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 Chanun Migusalam, Emnita? Uh, Hexing? Uh, in any way, Saint Sejong the Great, who created the Korean language, Hangul, what, it's like 1560-ish or 1520-ish, mid 1500s, so less than 500 years ago, or about 500 years ago, this language was created, and now 50 million people speak it as a native tongue. Well, in South Korea, I can't remember the population in North Korea, and never mind how many people throughout the world. One dude created it. He wrote three pages? He wrote like 3 or 4 pages, or 8 pages. He wrote a few pages, created a language, and then his like advisors wrote another. There's like 33 pages altogether, something like that. And that 33 pages that created a language that now, 100 million people speak natively? It's pretty good. Where was I going with that? Right, it was about learning a language or learning things, being exposed to things. Anyway, Sejong the Great said, I think in that document, that a wise man could familiarize himself with the Korean Hangul language in a day. A fool, it would take a week. Well, me, as the dumbest dude on the face of the planet, I figure if I live another 10 or 15 years, I can get the gist of it. And for about 10 or 15 years, I've been wanting to learn another language, but I kept getting distracted as to like what language I wanted to learn until I heard of Sejong the Great, and that he created it, and I heard about him and what he did for his people, and how the Koreans are the most literate people in the world, etc., etc., how it's like the most logical scientific language, and how that marries with English, which is the most quote-unquote difficult to learn language, but that's because it was built, but not by one guy. Well, and Sejong also built it with his daughter, plus his advisors, but the mythology is important. And I'm saying the English language was also deliberately built secretly. But how those two languages are really married together, and they were created at about the same time. So my prediction is that the Korean language is actually going to grow. More and more people are going to learn the Korean language. It's going to be a big deal in the world. My suspicion is that there's a very, very profound, deep mathematics built into it, and my suspicion, more than a suspicion, a conviction, is that the same people who were behind, that Sejong belonged to something greater than his kingship, that Sejong belonged to something that reaches so far back through time in an effort to reach to the future. But anyway, to make a long story long, multiple exposures. If you're really dumb, You need lots of exposure. But there's so many interesting things, right? Also, me, as a piece of the cosmos, is always continuously trying to error correct. I make improper choices that infects the quantum entanglement of the universe. Every electron affects every other electron, etc. So if we actually tune in to the cosmos, because free will exists, if we actually tune into the cosmos, the likelihood of confusion is sky high. If you're tapping into the cosmos, you're fucked. Unless there's something else, and it has something to do with the will, and it has something to do with thy will. Thee will, thy will, my will. Money. One eye. M-O-N. Money. There's the eye on the back of the pyramid. The empty eye of the pyramid. Because the pyramid doesn't exist. Except for as a vacuity where tetrahedrons are. But money. M-O-N. E-Y. One eye. But
What does that have to do with anything? You're going to use up all your health vouchers. Do you know, you spent 125 years on Earth, actually in that house, during which you get only 3 Class 1 D90 intercessions for June. You probably haven't even read through the manual yet. You'll have to wait if you don't have an appointment. An appointment? For June or your case will...
yeah, so
Number 54,601.
anyway, I know it's just a silly little thing, but even in this silly little thing, I'm gonna make something that I've never seen before, that I know has the potential to be fucking awesome, and like really build on something big that other people will do much more with. I don't want to keep my ideas. I wouldn't want to patent an idea. If I had an idea that could like completely change the world forever, I wouldn't want the money. I'd want the idea out there. I'd want it out there for everyone. I'd want it out there for everyone to have. Because this shit ain't gonna last. Though, it might last longer than I think. Or it could be snuffed out tomorrow. But I know there are those who have been around who's still around.
You want a cigarette? Try to cut down myself.
And, yeah, so. But I know we won't get out unless we all get out together.
Is this what happens when you die?
I imagine it would be a subtle mind who understands the continuity in this ramble.
It's